Today we begin a new chapter. We start in Proverbs 19, verse 1. And very good lesson as we move along in Proverbs. Someone please read.
Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool.
The Enduring Word commentary says, there are definitely poor people who walk in their integrity. Often men put under their feet those whom God carries in his heart. Man honors the perverse for their riches and despises the poor because of their poverty, and that came from bridges. The book of Proverbs is honest about being poor, yet it also recognizes that being poor is in no way the worst thing a person can be. It is far worse to be a fool who speaks twisted, perverse things. The poor may be miserable for the moment, but the unethical rich are miserable for eternity. Thus, the proverb teaches the pilgrim to walk by faith and not by sight. Benson's commentary says, a poor man that walks in his integrity is one who is upright in his works and actions, and he has a better character. He is in better condition, is more beloved, lives a better purpose, and is greater and more excellent in the eyes of God than is one who is in the habit of uttering sinful and mischievous expressions. However high he may be in his rank, his wealth or dignity, the soul without wisdom or prudence to discern the right way of speaking and acting, and how a person ought to conduct himself in all affairs and on all occasions is not good, and is of evil and hurtful consequences. Matthew Henry's commentary on this particular verse says, a poor man who fears God is more honorable and happy than a man without wisdom and grace, no matter however rich or advanced he is in his rank. John Gill's exposition on this particular verse says, in the uprightness of his heart before God and men, this poor man who is upright is sincere in the worship of God and in the profession of his name, and walks in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless, not sinless, but blameless, and is upright, harmless, and inoffensive in his conversation with men, and studies to exercise a conscience void of offense to both man and God, and continues therein. A man may be poor with respect to worldly things, yet be rich towards God. May be truly great, but truly and gracious good man, honest, sincere, and upright in his heart and life. And such that is one is better than he that is perverse in his lips, or whose ways are perverse, that acts deceitful both by works and actions toward those that are around him, not being honest and plain-hearted as the poor man is, and who uses them who are beneath him, treats them roughly, speaks loftily, and lets his tongue run both against God in heaven and men on earth, by which he shows himself that he is a fool. For his riches do not give him wisdom, and his words and actions declare he lacks what he lacks. Men may be poor and yet wise, and then they may be rich and yet a fool. Cambridge Bible for Schools and Colleges says this very short, little, precise thing. Upright poverty is better than perverse folly. The Bible Knowledge Commentary says the word for poor here is RAS. It means destitute or hungry. It is not a dishonorable term suggesting poverty from laziness. The word for fool, KOIL, means dull, thick-headed, who speaks words that are perverse. A fool may try to get rich by devious means, but honesty is still a better policy, even if it means going hungry. It is better to be poor and honest, blameless, which means morally whole, than it is to be a foolish person. The Believer's Bible Commentary contrasts between a poor person who is honest and a devious person, perhaps rich, a rich fool, who distorts the truth. The poor person is better off, than the fool. A poor man who fears God is more honorable and happy than a man without wisdom and grace. No matter how rich he is, or no matter what high standing he has in society. A man may be poor with respect to the worldly goods, okay, and yet be rich toward God. Now we need to understand, being poor doesn't make you rich toward God. But if you are poor with integrity, if you have a love for God, then you're rich toward God. And being rich doesn't make you a fool. If you are rich and have integrity toward God, you are still blessed. But this is talking about the poor who have integrity and the rich who do not. They are trusting in their riches. They're trusting in their rank. They're trusting in their position. And it makes them talk, act perversely, twisted things that are against God and man. The person who has very little means, the poor, is better off than that person that has all of the world's goods and yet does not know the Lord. The key here is one who walks toward God in love and obedience to him. Whether you're rich or poor, then you're better off. But when in this world, men are claiming men day after day for their status, their riches, their place, their names, over and over again. But how sad that person, if they don't know the Lord, that are trusted in their riches. And the poor are looked down upon, mistreated, talked to roughly, pushed out of the way because they don't have the means. But if they walk in integrity, they understand it's better to go hungry than to steal because they have integrity. They'd rather ask for something rather than to steal it. Okay? Where the rich man has everything and he will exhort other people. He will use, he will use a lot of means. He'll steal. He'll take from the widows. He'll take from the orphans. He'll take from the government to keep his standing. Then that's a twisted, perverse person. And they are not happy no matter how they try to portray themselves to be doing well. If they were, they wouldn't be in the situations that they were in, because they do not regard God. They regard their status, their means. But the poor with integrity, who love the Lord, who don't mind working, who don't mind saving, who don't mind doing who don't mind giving to others, they are happier. There's a scripture that talks about the man that works hard for a living. He gets a good night's sleep because he's tired. But those that extort others and do all these things, they don't rest good because they have no integrity in their heart. So Proverbs is saying, a poor man who fears God is more honorable and happy than a man without wisdom. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. And all you got to do is listen. Don't be impressed. Sometimes, that's why the scripture says, if someone comes in and they are finely dressed, you don't bring them up to the front. You don't know what's in their heart. Don't be impressed by their dress. Don't be impressed by their car. Don't be impressed by their house. Don't be impressed by their status, their standing, and what people are saying about them. You don't know what's in their heart. But the poor, don't mistreat them and push them back, because that person could have integrity and have love for God and want to do the right thing for the Lord. And the Lord is looking at us as how we treat them and how we go about. Sometimes we get, but you don't know what's in that person's heart. And so we want to remember this today. Better is the poor that walks in integrity. It's not just talking about the poor now, just poor in general. There are poor people who are wretched and undone. So being poor doesn't cause you to be in favor with God. What causes us to be in favor with God is our love for him and our desire to obey him, to trust in him, and to do what's right. Very good start for Proverbs 19 today.